And welcome to another episode of, actually we've changed the name, so it's not another episode of Coffee and Crypto. It is now
Bitter bullish.
Bitter and bullish because coffee is bitter. We're bullish on crypto.
And we can also talk about the bearish side of the crypto. So
sometimes we're a little bitter on crypto.
Crypto as well, yeah.
So yeah, we think bitter and bullish. Hopefully that sticks, otherwise this intro is really awkward. Today we're going to go to one of my favorite places in South Yarra for a lot of reasons. Great lunch, Republica Economica.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're filming a podcast about crypto.
Yeah.
We're just going to have coffees.
Yeah, of course.
Where it's like a nice quiet place that we can sit. Yeah, no worries. Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
We're not having luck with these like first pick cafes. That one had construction at the front, was way too loud, and then we couldn't sit in the back because they're having training. So now I don't know where we're going.
We're kicked out.
Is this a cafe?
We'll find something good.
Who would have thought it'd be so hard to find a quiet cafe in Melbourne? This looks like maybe a cafe.
It is. There's a coffee place just in front.
I'll grab a sparkling water, please.
Of course, would you like a small bottle or a large?
Just a small's fine.
No problem.
Thank
And for coffee?
Do you have a batch brew?
No, unfortunately. I can do a long black.
I'll do a long black, please.
Just your regular size.
Large long black,
Large,
please.
No problem. For
I'll
yourself.
grab a small cappuccino.
No problem. I'll send that to you.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. I found a really, actually, I'm happy we found this place. I might actually come back here, well, depending on the coffee. It's called Ned's Diner.
Ned's
Local?
Bistro,
Ned's Bistro.
Yes.
Just a little bit further down Turak than we normally go, but we're like the most out in the open. Normally we try and not hide, but sit sort of in the back corner. We're right in the midst of things here, so everyone's going to be looking at us, but hopefully getting some crypto alpha, as we say.
We don't know who's hearing us, who's listening to us.
Well,
Hopefully
they're watching. But no, it's a really nice. We'll cut in some B-roll. It's a really nice cafe. I'm disappointed I'm not eating. I would probably rename this to Crypto Coffee and Pastries at the moment because they look good. But I have to fast because I've got a DEXA scan in a couple of hours. So just black.
Pretty good
coffee.
vibe.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. It reminds me a lot of nice little European cafe/wine bar.
Yeah.
So shout out to Ned, whoever Ned is. But yeah, we are changing the name of the podcast from Coffee and Crypto to
Bitter and bullish.
Bitter and Bullish because coffee's bitter and so am I sometimes.
So is the market.
So is the market.
For the bulls.
Sometimes. And then we're bullish on crypto, obviously, and coffee. So that's a nice little change for us. Big piece. I think last week's format worked really well, where we gave a nice piece of advice, and then talked about the market. And so I wanted to start with this week is discussing. Thank you very much. Discussing how to build a portfolio, something that you've had a lot of experience with, and you're kind of like I look to you as well when picking up new assets and looking at the split. So I think we touched on it in previous weeks, the importance of having some safe bets, some safe money to hedge things, and then mid tier, and then the useless coins that we spoke about last week, which is down, by the way.
Is it down? It's up.
It's up
From our initial
down.
entries, but
Not yet.
it's a bit choppy now.
It's a bit in between bitter and bullish at the moment, but we have the ability and the luxury of being able to do that because we've been smart building the portfolios out elsewhere. So I think that's a really great topic to get into.
Yeah, I think I'll discuss primarily about low to medium risk portfolio because the market right now it's still choppy.
Yeah.
Considering the macroeconomic factors, and Bitcoin hasn't been able to break out above the 110K levels. So this zone 18 to 110K has been like pretty big of a resistance to cover, I think, for the bulls. And as the market still remains choppy, I think it's good to discuss about the low to medium risk profile.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to building a portfolio, I think we should be always keeping some sort of inventory in hand, or we call the stable coins in hand, so that we are able to capitalize on the dips that happen in the market.
What do you say to cappuccino?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And large one.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. What do you say to people? I often have this question. So you can keep some ammunition in stable coins.
Yeah.
But then they sort of like sit there not doing anything. Rather than that, should we, for myself, I keep a small bag of Solana on hand so I can be like really reactive with some means that come on.
Yeah.
Not that I think Solana would do well and should be in those kind of like secure holds.
Yeah.
But I have an extra bit of Solana so I can be agile with it. Do you think that's a good strategy, or would you recommend just keeping in stables?
That is good till you're able to capitalize on your Solana bag, but that comes with a risk, right? So Solana price might go down, so your investments might go down as well. So that's a directional risk that you're taking essentially. I think it's always good to keep stables, and you can just do some DeFi lending or borrowing just to like have some yield just on your cash that's been just sitting. So you can just deposit on Arbitrum, on Aave, for example, and then just earn a bit on the stable, and then just pull it out whenever you need.
Okay.
So essentially, you're not holding cash, but you're getting the yield on the cash that you're holding as well, right? So that's where these protocols make a lot more sense.
Because then, like psychologically, even like we were discussing it, I hold a couple of smaller bags in something, and I'm like, do I trade out of it
Yeah.
or do it? So actually, it probably hinders my agility a little bit because I know as soon as I dump a bag,
Because you're
it's
like
it's
sort of
gonna-
married to a bag, and then
Yeah.
you get that FOMO, right? If you dump in, it goes up, and then you're in a way
Yeah.
jeopardizing your situation, stating like, okay, why did it go up now? That's when you sell it, right? So
Okay, so say I'm new into crypto and I've got $10,000 to invest. It's a nice round number. How would you recommend that someone makes up their portfolio like that?
I think considering 10,000 as a starting point, I think 30 to 40% is in Bitcoin. That's what I recommend because it's the number one coin in the market right now, and it has always been the best case. And especially after the institutional interest or a high institutional interest, Bitcoin dominance has increased way too much. When we compare it to the previous cycles, wherein people used to come in, the retail used to come in, buy altcoins.
Yep.
Now the altcoin bags are down. So I think the best start to any portfolio starts with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I think 30 to 35% is an optimal recommendation in a way.
30 to 35% in Bitcoin.
So that is like roughly 3,500 worth of Bitcoin. You just keep it out of your 10,000. So that leaves us with the remainder. So I think right now in a situation wherein Ethereum is picking the narrative, Solana is also picking the narrative as well, and then there's hype. So I think,
This is because you're very bullish on hype.
yeah, so they are like,
Disclaimer, but
yeah. So
is-
they're literally like making money off the platform and then buying back the hype token. So that's the only token on the top 20 tokens that are literally buying back their bags, right?
Yeah.
So
okay, we can talk about it because I have some
Yeah.
questions about hype in a second.
Yeah.
But so we're saying, okay, you do 35% in Bitcoin, you do 10 in Solana or 10 in Ethereum,
15 in Ethereum, I would
15
say,
in Ethereum.
considering
okay.
the RWA narrative and the stablecoin legislation that has
Okay.
been passed. So the Genius Act, so that gives way too much on the Ethereum side because it's building, Ethereum is the main foundation
Yeah.
on all those things, right? And so I think 35% in Bitcoin, 15% in Ethereum,
So that's half our investment,
that's done in the majors.
and
so I
that
think
we
that,
just we hold and you just
hold,
you
yeah.
just hold and watch it.
Or yeah, you can hold it. You can just utilize your Ethereum. You can just take it, earn some rewards on it. You can do borrowing lending on using your Ethereum bag. So I think that's where you can, if you are eager to generate more yield, so that there
Yep.
are heaps of options on the DeFi
But not
side.
trading it, not
Not
day trading,
trading
not
it,
getting
not
in and
trading
out,
in
just
and out.
holding a position and they're being smart with it. And
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
Exactly.
Next
So
week.
I think 50% is gone there. Then 5% is just used as cash, just as a cash reserve to buy the dips. So that is like 55% in total of the bags. Now it leaves us with 45%. So now there are emerging sectors like AI, there are emerging sectors like RWA right now in the market. Then there are obviously the sectors that have been prevalent for a long time, memes. And then there's DeFi. So I think these four sectors are that to keep an eye on.
And would you recommend one project in each sector, two projects in each sector? What's
Yeah,
the sort of
yeah.
total of a bag?
I think 2 to 3%, like 2 to 3 tokens in each sector makes much more sense just to diversify the risk. I know it's a sectorial risk that you're taking. So in AI now
Yeah,
there are,
because so you already have that risk in the sector because one sector might do really well,
It might, the
another
other one.
might not. So
Yeah.
category-wise, you're already taking a risk, and then you're sort of splitting that across. You're saying 2 to 3 projects within each category.
That's correct. Yeah. So I think let's deep dive into DeFi sector because it's one of the major bullish sectors right now, especially after the US clarity on the regulations around DeFi, and it's still making a lot of buzz. So I think 15% onto DeFi projects makes much more sense now, especially a lot of DeFi tokens that have been way too much in the way too long in the market, especially like Aave or Maker or Maple Finance, like they've rebranded to Syrup. So these projects are making real
Which
money.
we just listed on Day 1X,
Day 1X,
on
yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah. So I think these projects are very solid to keep a bag on. So these are like more of a blue chip DeFi tokens now, wherein it's very good to keep a bag because they are money making protocols. They are having more than 20 billion or 25 billion dollars total value logged in them. So that's a big testament in the market, right? And especially after the clarity from the US government and the SEC, it's wise to keep a DeFi bag.
Okay.
So I think Aave is a very good token. Then one of my favorites, making a lot of money, especially with the price movement as well as the revenue that Aave is generating right now. So I think that's one very good project that I'm bullish on. Then the other one we can keep a bag on is Pendle or Syrup. That's one like 2 coins that I would love to recommend. Pendle is very innovative with the yield-bearing assets, and then there comes Syrup or Maple Finance, which has been utilizing the
I feel like we need to do
institutional
a whole video on maybe
individual projects.
individual sectors, individual categories at least. So if you guys are interested in that, drop us a comment below, and that's something that we can start looking at.
Yeah.
But okay, so you've got half in your
Majors.
majors, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then you're splitting it across sectors. Where does that leave something like an XRP or Solana or those on the cusp, almost blue chip? Some, if you're Trump, would consider them blue chip. Do you hold a bag in that, or do you think are they dinosaur projects for you? Are you?
I think we should definitely get some exposure to those projects. So first comes the majors, right? So up to 50% allocation split into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then 15% in DeFi leaves us with the remaining, right? So wherein we can get a bag of Solana, maybe 5 to 8%, and then XRP as well 5 to 8%, because these tokens are there to stay in the market, especially after like Trump Truth Social filed an ETF proposing like Solana, investing into Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Kronos. So I
That's
think
what happened overnight. Solana, Ethereum, Ripple, Kronos, which was Crypto.com. It came as a bit of a surprise. I feel like there was a
US
handshake
Dutch-
deal over a golf game somewhere or a bet lost somewhere. But I mean, kudos to Kronos and the project. Almost 30% pump overnight.
Yeah, almost 30%.
That's how I saw the news. I opened up my app and saw Kronos pumping and was quite surprised. And that's what caused it. XRP also going through a little bit of a rally, but there's always XRP news going on. They're great at news, not so great at moving the price up.
Yeah, because of the unlocks, I think then there comes some unlocks that you were pointing towards as well over the last week.
But just to summarize, and maybe we'll try and put up a little bit of the table, 50% Bitcoin, Ethereum, more so Bitcoin, and then be a little bit more
Towards Solana,
towards the
XRP, Hype. So these three L1s can constitute a total mix of around 15%. So that gives you 65% in the major coins because it's a low to medium risk. So we don't want heavy volatility.
Yep.
Hype is a very heavy volatile coin right now. So I think that gives a bit of an edge because the more the volatile, the more the price appreciation or depreciation. And Hype right now is in a position of major appreciation, I think.
All right, so then we've got the responsible picks for each category. And so overall, what percentage should that take up? I'm basically trying to get to what everybody wants and how much of a percentage should people set aside for their degen picks and the useless coins and the SPX
I think
1600s?
5% right now, as per the market scenario. It can go to 10% as well when you know that market is like very
When it's a
heavy
main
bullish.
market.
Yeah, when you get that vibe, like okay, this is a confirmed all season, and now you start rotating very quickly
Yeah.
onto the gems or onto the punting side on the on-chain coins.
Now, are we holding bags or are you trading in and out on those types of projects? Like, are you cycling through memes? Is it an active thing? Like, would you recommend people just bought the Pendle, bought the SPX 6900 and sat on it? Or do you think that requires more of a hands-on approach to get in and out?
I think the market is right now in a position where it's building the bottom, or it's a bottom structure that's being formed right now in a lot of tokens, especially like for the likes of Pengu, that has moved 80% on a week over week because of the ETF filing news
Yep.
that came, and it is like trying to now shift. There's a structural shift in a lot of altcoins that we see right now in the market, especially Pengu. SPX is battling around $1.3 resistance levels, and then there comes Fatcoin. So I think it's very good. Like if you have time to like trade these tokens, you can. Fatcoin, yeah. But I think it's wise to just get a bag right now, because it's very choppy and you don't want to be just trading it in and out, and then you just before the rally you're just out of the market. You don't want that situation to happen.
I think we're very much, I think that's the, so the closing remark for this section is we're very much in a market that you want to be in now. Not financial advice, but yeah, pick up your blue chip bets, and then look at some of your gambles and projects that you think are, and some people invest on things that are funny, Fatcoin, useless. We talked about that. Some people like the art. Like I honestly bought a little bit more Pengu the other day because I had it open on my laptop, and Allegra, hello, my daughter, came up and she goes, I like that penguin. And I was like, okay, that's sign enough from the universe for me. Buy. So we buy for certain reasons, but I think the smart strategy of
Is to DC at these levels. I think that's number one thing, I think. And
I think it goes back to like the 80-20% rule, which I sort of apply to everything. Like as long as 80%
sits in the
major
bags,
the major bags,
Yeah.
And how you like I'd probably take like, for me, it's always like 80-20, where 80 is a smart play and 20 is sort of like the degenerate gambles. But that 80%, I probably split into a further 80-20, which would probably align our strategy a little bit. And that further split the top is Bitcoin, Ethereum for me, and then
Solana, XRP, Hype,
some older coins.
Avax.
I still have an Avax bag. I still think Avalanche is a great project from mass adoption when people want to launch their own layer ones. I think Avax is there. It is one of those projects that, well, look, there's no unlocks coming because it's so old. So that's a positive. It's an American project, which in the Trump climate is positive. We don't know what Trump's going to do tomorrow. Trump could come out tomorrow and go no tax on American projects, and then you see things like Avax, Cardano, skyrocket potential.
Cardano as well.
Well, you do, right? It could happen. So
That's true.
we're in this really uncertain climate with the US projects. I think is a category of their own. And we see that with Crow as well. We see
definitely.
what happened to Crow, which in my opinion is a dead project. It's really interesting. I was having a look at the charts. Crow went up, and then everybody's like, BNB's going up, rightfully so, and all the other
exchange tokens,
all the other exchange tokens have kind of gone up as well. Because I think people have gone, hey, why is this going up? Something else will go up next. So that ripple effect is really interesting.
In the sectors, So I think, like, considering all those bullish the tokens you're bullish on in terms of the US-led projects, I think it's wise to keep like Bitcoin a bit lesser.
Yeah.
Because Bitcoin dominance has already sort of like peaked in a way, I think.
Yeah.
And it's showing like signs of divergences across, like that was one thing we covered last week as well. So I think it's wise to just segregate bit into Solana, Hype, XRP, and those Avax and Cardano a bit, so that you have like a major L1 or the majors sitting somewhere allocating 60 to 65% of
Do you
your
think
bag.
the average retail investor knows the difference or cares between an L1 and an L2? Because most L2s present themselves as L1s nowadays as well, right? Like there's the whole ecosystem come build, but the pitch is always quicker, cheaper, come build on us. Like that's the pitch for an L1, and a lot of the L2s, and most all the L2s are that way as well. Even even you have like the L2s that have niches like near, right? And AI focus, so they'll focus on a category. It's still quicker, cheaper, come build on us. Do you think the average retail investor knows, cares, and should they? Is there really that much of a difference between an L1 and an L2 at this point?
I don't think so. Nah. I think like people don't care about like I think when I was just a retail, I cared about the price and the making the money on the
Yeah.
projects rather than deep diving into the technology and what they are trying to achieve and then what's happening if it's a like L2s never existed back then, right? So it was all L1s and L1s competing in terms of scalability and whatnot. But now after the emergence of L2s is when there's hardly any difference. It's just the infrastructure difference.
It was almost like a fork, right?
It's just
that's-
like a fork, yeah, in a
Okay.
way. Yeah.
Cool.
Then comes
great
the
advice.
AI sector that we need to get in because that's another sector making a lot of movements, especially in the mind share.
The tricky thing with the AI sector is that a lot of the AI projects are just vaporware.
They are.
No one's, it's the same thing as we saw in the startup space with pitch decks going out to VCs, and it's you slap AI on it, and in its infancy it was the same thing with Web3. Everything just had Web3 tacked on it.
Yeah.
A lot of the AI projects are not necessarily really AI, or the ecosystem doesn't need to be AI, and we do see some of them evolving out of just being AI only because it is just a platform and an ecosystem.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are just noise. They're just memes, essentially.
just-
Like a lot of them are in that set. So AI is, I think, one of those ones where you really have to do your research and your due diligence. Something like
Definitely.
gaming's easier because you can just go gaming token, what games are they doing? You can have a look at how
Have a
many
look.
players are playing, and that research is easier. But AI is I think where a lot of the charlatans sort of hide in the AI.
Definitely. I think then there comes like projects that are literally doing some stuff in the AI. So blocks and so that's Tau
Yep.
is a great project. I think a great L1 in the Tau, like in the AI space. So I think that's
BitTensor,
BitTensor, yeah. So we can definitely have a background of Tau.
which is like a marketplace for AI projects, right?
projects,
So
yes.
providing utility
For the AI agents.
for the AI agents, or just for AI projects, and it doesn't have to be AI agents. It just be for other sort of AI whatever. So it's
Yeah.
a marketplace for these AI projects, which like it's almost borderline. It's AI project itself, but it provides real utility. And I think that one is really interesting. And if the AI category booms, that one is
That should-
at the top
that
because
should
it's
go.
almost like a chain link
Yeah,
for AI
exactly.
projects. Like everything we need to feed through it if all pans out.
Yeah, so I think that's one project, and then the other one gets that is hitting the heavy marketing flow is Kaito.
Yep, which
That
we
has
just
been
listed on Day One
recently
X as
listed
well.
on Day One X as well. So I think that's another project that I'm quite bullish on because it's infographically AI. So
Yep.
it is helping a lot to do with the market share of the tokens, what's the market hype doing and whatnot. So
Going back to helping people make the research and helping
Yeah.
people dive in and actually understand what these projects are doing. So I think that's a real valuable tool for someone and actually building utility. It's a good project. I love the icon too. It's one of my
yeah, it's one of the good ones.
good
And
play.
then you yap on Kaito. So there are leaderboards, there are yapper points that you get certain allocation on. So it's a very innovative way of like presenting information, especially in the world of Web3.
Yep.
So that's another project. So I think AI category can somewhere fit in with between 7 to 10% right now of the market allocation that you need to put in. And then comes the RWA sector. So for the likes of Ondo, for example.
Ondo, I know. Broken Record, I know. Ondo.
Yeah, Plume
Yep.
is another project.
Ondo and Plume are my two. They're the ones I'm in heavily. Plume's sort of like the more decentralized Ondo.
Yeah.
Ondo, I'm in. It's weird. It's perfect for bitter and bullish.
Yeah.
Super bullish on Ondo,
But the price is.
but I'm really bitter on Ondo as well because even there was announcements earlier in the week, and to be honest with you, I forget what the news was now.
Yeah.
They're really great at pumping out the news cycle, but it was really great news for Ondo Finance as a business,
company, yeah.
as a company, but not so great, or maybe great.
In the
just
long run,
not
we don't know.
transparently enough. Like, what does
Yeah.
it do for Ondo as
a
an
token.
asset, as a token, as something to invest in? So I think there is still that clarity. I really look for lack of clarity rather. I really look forward to sitting down 1 week and going, now it all makes sense, and Ondo has boomed.
Yeah.
And I do think we'll get there. I think there's,
Yeah, I think it's
one of
it's
those
a
projects
big accumulation phase right now.
has the backing.
Has the backing. It's doing good, and the unlocks are coming within like next 6 months. So there's no major unlock right now happening. So I think it's very good to allocate some portion of to Ondo
Yeah.
into RWA sector. So I think 5 to 10% allocation can be done to the RWA sector as well, because we are now in a phase of tokenization of the real world assets.
Yeah.
So that's also happening. So I think that's another major sector. So AI sector, DeFi sector, RWA sector is a like a mix of 20 to 30% allocation in total. Considering you can like reduce a bit of exposure on the L1 space or like the major space, if you see a big jump in the structural shift in terms of the.
I think maybe it's
bullishness of the
wise to go
markets.
rather than L1 and L2, just like ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like ecosystem space, because there can be L1s or L2s at this point.
Yeah, and forgot to mention SUI as well in terms of the
course,
L1s.
yeah.
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 So that is a great project, I think, and it's quite good to having like 3 to 5% allocation.
But then you have the overlap. It's always hard to mention SUI without Say.
Yeah.
Say that provides an ecosystem and a framework, but is in the gaming sector.
Yeah.
So you do have those overlaps between categories. I think really that's where the sweet spot is finding these projects that cater towards multiple categories and can dip in and out as market sentiment shifts as well.
Yeah.
And I think the OG coins that have repositioned themselves are still the ones that are relevant. And you look at, like you just need to go to Wayback Machine and have a look at one project and see how it's sort of like it's changed.
It has evolved
over time.
with the market. Yeah.
So I think that's key for longevity. But it's also it's the markings of a good project and a good team when they know when to pivot.
Definitely, yeah. And that's where you need to be very agile in the crypto market, because you never know when the bear market hits.
Yeah.
And you need to have that sort of mindset in place to just pivot to anything.
So let's get into market conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So an interesting graph. If we overlay the last, since the last halvening of Bitcoin, and we overlap the thing, we're right at that cusp of when it's meant to
parabol.
blow up. So
Yeah.
like it's hopefully we're sitting here next week and we're seeing a 115, 120 Bitcoin. Who knows?
Potentially, yeah.
I think this is the point where like we are at that cusp. If it doesn't happen now, I might get a little bit worried.
That's true. That's what I'm trying to see as well. Like there's no big momentum right now. It's just like liquidating the shorts, then liquidating the longs, and a bunch of clusters getting liquidated in and out.
Exactly. So far, we've seen certainly the first sort of 3/4 of the cycle match up perfectly to the last two. We did see a divergence. That was a dip in this cycle, but that was caused by the Trump tariffs.
Yep.
But now, hopefully, that's leveled out. I think we are at a local floor at the moment for this. I'm worried if next week we haven't seen a bull. Maybe I'll give it one more week because maybe we are a little bit delayed. But I think
I think the market conditions.
Look, not worried
point
worried about crypto as a thing, but I think it's a sign that
This is
maybe
short-term pain.
we're not working in the same cycle that we were, and we can't look at the past to sort of necessarily predict the future. We need to be a little bit smarter in what we invest in.
Yeah, I think 100K level is still a major level to be like tested. Probably if the market sentiment goes down and the price is not able to break above 110, then leaves us a probability of dipping below 105.
And we were super close. We're watching this now. We might have crossed 110 at the moment. We've been sort of touching 19,
19, 18, 19, yeah.
So I
Bitcoin
think,
did end up having a very good weekly close, the highest weekly close. Then the monthly close has been spectacular as well.
yeah.
But now
So I do
the
think
point
another all-time high
soon.
this week. I don't want to jinx it.
But yeah, that's where we are like trying to emphasize on the short-term plays as well as the long-term game as well, all the medium-term play as well. So
And there's been great news recently.
Yeah.
So Trump tweeted yesterday the blue chip ETF, like we said, which is Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, Kronos,
Solana
and Solana as well.
Yeah.
So the American projects, some more maybe added to that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe Avax. I might hold
Not
on.
yet.
I might hold on another week before dumping my Avax bag just in case. But that's certainly showing momentum in the right direction. So that was really good news.
And coming to just to point out towards a meme, so there's like 5% allocation just to have that sort of energy rush. just in the
Yeah,
in the
in regards
allocation
to
of
how
the
we structure
portfolio.
our bags.
Yeah. Just to add, and that was the hot topic of the week as well, like wherein Let's Bonk literally flipped
Let's Bonk flipped
flip
Pump
Pump
Fund.
Fun, yeah, taking a very big market share, and then there came
So it's funny. I
Liz.
most viewers won't get this, but bonk in Polish is spoiler alert on Polish is fart. So I always like looked at fart coin and I was like, and I looked at bonk coin and I was like, like a
Yeah, and
lot of farts. But yeah, and I think look, from platform point of view, I like Let's Bonk more than Pump Fund. Pump Fund, if you look at the way that the tokenomics is set up or the fee structure, is very much into profit taking, whereas Bonk or Let's Bonk, the fees that the website generates are used to purchase and burn Bonk. So it
Exactly.
actually supports Bonk,
the bonk as a yeah, and
which,
there have
which I
been
like more.
yeah. So there was a news wherein Gate.io published Pump Fun, just to have as a like a sale of the tokens, and then they just deleted the page altogether.
Yeah.
So a lot of things are happening in this space, and which
But
led
it's
to
weird. It's like we're legitimizing memes now.
well, that is a sector, yeah.
Yeah, which is
And
really,
it's
really
it's
interesting.
it's always good because crypto started as a community, right?
Mm.
And memes literally reflect the older values on how crypto delivers, which is like more towards community focus and
Yep.
like with the likes of SPX, for example, you have seen a huge community building up.
Yep.
And then the useless community is also there now.
Yeah.
So and the bonk community has always been there, and now the bonk price has gone like 25% up
Yeah.
on a week because of all this flipping that's happening. So it's a meme battle going on right now.
Meme battle going on, but I also think the platform battle is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Some people say the only people that make money out of crypto are actually the ones that build good platforms and things
Yeah.
like that. So there's something to be said for that. I think that battle's really, really interesting. But quietly, from a launch platform, I think Radium's launchpad is better than
Is better than-
both of them. A little
yeah.
bit more hands-on, but has better utility. If I was launching something, it would be on Radium.
Yeah, and I think a lot of projects are now smashing their volumes, as well as like it's the fundamental play that is like now hitting the market, especially after Aave revenue is hitting an all-time high. Then there's a Radium doing a lot of more volume, so it's literally hitting a lot more all-time highs on the volume side as well. That reflects in the revenue, that reflects in the fee as well.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of projects are now undervalued against what sort of metrics the business are delivering.
Yeah.
So that gives us a very good edge to be just getting into the market at these prices and just wait patiently.
It's really interesting, like they're undervalued from what the business is delivering, whereas last run everything was overvalued for what the
Overvalued.
business is
Yeah.
delivering. Like you looked at some of the gaming tokens and they were worth billions of dollars, and then you jumped on
Doing
the
nothing,
game and there were
yeah.
4 people on there, and that was the whole meta thing.
Yeah. I think we're in that phase of the cycle wherein a lot of spot holdings now make much more sense.
Yeah.
Especially after the metrics that have been like.
But I think it's really interesting. We're very opposite in that. We both love crypto. Me, I'm just a spot holder.
Yeah.
Because I think you can be at this point.
Yeah.
Like you can get your spot bags, you can marry your bags to a certain extent, pick the right projects, do your research.
Only if there are no token
sprinkle it
unlocks.
here. Only if there are no token unlocks.
Unlocks.
Check out last week's video.
Yeah.
And make a decent profit.
Yeah,
And a little
definitely.
bit less of a stress-free hands-on profit, like it might be a 5x as opposed to a 10x,
10x
on
or
leverage or things like that. But
Yeah.
you can do that now. We're in that point now
Yeah.
where I think it's about to be really bullish.
Yep. I think-
Otherwise, I'm going to be very bitter next week. But yeah, really bullish.
Yeah, I think that's where the thing starts, right? So right now the market is in sort of a phase wherein you can start building your low to medium risk portfolio. And if you see an all season or it's a confirmed all season where the Bitcoin dominance breaks down and you see a lot of altcoins popping up, then you see the sentiment flowing into the altcoins, right? And that's where you try to map your medium to high risk portfolio, wherein you're just getting rid of a initial exposure from Bitcoin, maybe trim it 5% down, and then just allocate it to the different bags
So here's a
that
question.
you really are interested into, or that are making the buzz in the on social media, or like doing.
Here's a question: you get into maybe I say useless 100x's. You take your profits. What are you doing with those profits? Are you staying in
Rotating back to
core
BTC.
back to BTC or back to like the Solana that was on, or back to BTC.
One thing I've realized is like Bitcoin has entered a phase wherein it's more institutional adopted, right? So I think that leaves
And more and more. It's
And more
like
and more.
every day there's a new
Matured. It's a matured
there's a new
asset class,
ETF launching. Every day there's a new MicroStrategy wannabe launching, and
Yeah.
then there are some around other projects, but everything sort of goes back to Bitcoin.
Yeah, coming to MicroStrategy, I think there was a news like MetaPlanet is now the fourth biggest holder
Yep.
of Bitcoin, or the fifth, and it has more than like 15,000 Bitcoins right now. Under
El Salvador purchased more. I think El Salvador's got like 6,000.
Yeah.
So how much more institutional can you get than the government?
exactly the government and the country is buying it now, and there have been news wherein BlackRock's ETF has gone above 700k bitcoins under assets under management, and it has more than like $75 billion right now.
Yeah.
So that's very bullish, right? So that's where I think my interest is, like making profits on altcoins and rotating back to BTC, because I'm a long-term BTC bull. So
Really interesting thing that came out as well is the White House financial advisor has said there is 0% chance. Now, this is Trump's White House advisor, so
Yeah.
we take everything with a grain of salt, but it said there is 0% chance of a recession this half. So, probably just kick the can down the street a little bit, but that leads towards a bullish sentiment as well. People are going to be buying more, and the average person is going to be buying Bitcoin.
Well, yeah, I differ a bit. I think the recession is coming in terms of the numbers. That's what
Trump's
I feel.
finance officer has said there is a 0% chance of recession. Okay, so,
Well, that's where I'm bitter on, right? So,
but I thought a really interesting statement, obviously, to try and ignite a fire under the markets. Also, really coming out at the same time as all this crypto talk.
Yeah.
So you have to look at why announce both those things at the same time.
yeah,
I think it's a bullish time.
it is bullish time. I think for the 6 to 12 months period is where things might get ugly, because there's always correction after bullish phase, right?
Yeah.
And we have been in a very prolonged bullish cycle for the timing. Everyone is just waiting for that blow off top that used
That's
to
the
happen
question.
before,
I think
right?
the only question is whether or not everyone's like, when's the bull market? We're in the bull market. We've been in the bull market for quite some time. There's
Yeah.
been corrections and dips, and I think when we look back on things and consolidate the graph, like I personally think it's not a 4-year cycle anymore, and that's the
Yeah.
issue that we're seeing. So when we do finally see this run finish, when we condense the graph, as we love in crypto, just zoom out.
Just zoom out,
We
yeah.
will see that it marries. Just the horizontal scale is just different.
Yep.
The timeline is just different. So I do think we are in it. I think we see it every day that we're in it. I think Elon Musk announcing the American
The American Party.
and then in the same breath almost doing the same flurry of tweets saying
Fiat
that
is hopeless.
fiat's hopeless,
Embracing Bitcoin.
embracing
Yeah.
Bitcoin and digital assets. I think just goes to show how topical it is and how much we're so back.
We're literally so back because
I don't think we
all the
left.
institutions are just now getting into, but and there was a big whale moments as well noticed, right? So $8 billion worth of Bitcoin moved in a single transaction,
That was crazy.
pointing to
So-
14 years back. Yeah.
So for everyone that doesn't know, there's we call them the Satoshi era wallets. So
Yeah.
some of the first Bitcoin wallets ever.
Yeah.
And 8 of them all of a sudden came alive. 8 or more. It was
8 or more, yeah.
I think it was 14 wallets,
Yeah.
but it was $8 billion worth of Bitcoin in total.
Into one go.
Got moved in one go, no tests. So you guys watching this, you always when you're sending out to a new wallet, you send like the little dollar, one
Dollar
token
test.
just to make sure it's working. No
So
tests,
that's a safe
nothing.
practice in crypto, but
You
those whales are
you should
like,
do that. These guys just moved $8 billion out, no test, nothing. Woke up the wallet, moved it. Now, I have a theory. I think it was. I think the wallets were hacked.
potentially, yeah.
I think I don't want to say quantum computing and key unlocks and multiple universes, and quantum computing gets complex. But I don't know if this was a legitimate.
Yeah, or maybe
it-
changing hands.
Maybe changing hands, but no
They've-
one's like whose are these?
We never know. We don't
Is
know
it
yet.
Satoshi? Is it AI? Has AI cracked these? My doom and gloom is AI. AI has cracked the keys on these wallets, moved out $8 billion, and is building some compound somewhere to slowly
take over the
start
world.
Skynet.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and the biggest.
But I love the
part to
mystery,
it-
right? Like I
Yeah.
love that. Like we're in this like crypto is equal parts fintech, equal parts startup, equal parts
Community, cult,
community code, equal parts mystery, equal parts true
Conspiracy.
crime,
Yeah.
conspiracy. Like it's great. What a time to be alive.
yeah. And
But
the
it
thing
is, yeah, massive mystery. Big
Yeah.
move. Impacted the price a little bit. Impacted, I think, like everybody's going WTF.
Yeah.
Who is this? What's happening?
Yeah, and they were like,
Super interesting.
and they had bought like 10,000 bitcoins at 78 cents.
78
So
cents.
$7,800 invested into Bitcoin in 2011 gives you more than $1 billion.
8.6 billion, I think they moved.
Yeah, yeah. Crazy.
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 Maybe it was the pizza guy.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the pizza guy found some wallet. Maybe it was the guy chasing his ledger in the trash.
Yeah. Potentially. But yeah, interesting week to crypto.
Yeah. Always an interesting week with crypto. We'll be back next week. What did you think of Ned's Bistro and the coffee here?
I really like this coffee.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Look.
I'll come back, I think.
My long black was a bit burnt, bit bitter,
Burnt.
but okay. And I think the vibes more than make up for it. I do like this.
Yeah.
I do like the cafe. I don't know what I'm going to do with a whole bottle of sparkling water now. But like I said, it feels very European.
Yeah.
See you next week.
See you next week.